Wow, but in October of sports with the NHL now underway and the NBA tipping off next Tuesday, we want to help you celebrate the opening week, both on the ice and the hardwood. Every NHL daily package is only $9 through Monday, October 18th. And yes, that includes 5% NHL plays, regularly priced at $35. For you NBA fans, we'll be offering the same incredible deal next week when basketball returns. From opening night through Monday, October 25th, get every NBA package for only $9, including all 5% top plays. Plus, don't forget that WagerTalk TV will again be airing both Puck Time and the NBA Tip-Off Show every Monday through Friday.
Welcome, everybody, to WagerTalk Today. I am one show in, one more to go after this. Puck Time was awesome. And a NFL presidential address in an hour. Teddy Covers joining me. What a show, Theodore. Steve Merril right off the top. Texas A&M, Missouri, Army, Wisconsin. Adam Trigger, O to be young. After that, Browns, Cardinals, Boise State, Air Force, and of course, Arthur DiCesare, your big game breakdown. My daily presidential address. Somebody yesterday said, Prez, we need the penalty box segment back. Guys, it's the same damn segment with a different name. And now that hockey is starting, I will be giving out lots of hockey. I got 3 for you in that presidential address. Teddy, brother, 3 teams in to the next round in the playoffs. We got a game 5 tomorrow. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing all right, Prez. And you want to talk about something that Bettors learned last night? Look, this one stands out to me from the beginning of instant replay review. All right, we saw it yesterday in the Braves-Brewers game, all right, where there was an instant replay review on a tipped foul ball towards third base, and Urias made the catch, but he didn't make the catch, and 15 replay reviews showed he didn't make the catch, but, oh, by the way, you're not allowed. Catch plays in the outfield can be reviewed, but catch plays in the infield are not eligible. All you can say to that is WTF, you know?
Yeah.
It's like the concept of instant review, of instant replay review, was very simple when it came out. If there is incontrovertible video evidence that shows that the play on the field was wrong, you change it. If there isn't, the play stands. That should be real simple across sports. Incontrovertible video evidence says you overturn it, you overturn it. The key word there, incontrovertible, Prez. We're not seeing that. That hasn't happened. And we're how long into this experiment now? 15, 20 years in the experiment now. And still, the instant replay review is baffling, is maddening. Didn't make a difference in the game last night. Braves ended up winning. All's well that ends well. But the concept of incontrovertible evidence to overturn a call, or no incontrovertible evidence to not overturn the call, I don't see that. I don't see that week in, week out. I don't see that day in, day out. And that's why I'm not a fan of replay. Really not anymore, Prez. What about you? What'd you learn last?
Well, dude, I mean, on that replay note, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not a fan of replay because the replay program is broken. I am a fan of fixing the replay. I'm a big fan.
But it's broken in every sport. It's not like one sport has it right. It's broken in every single sport. It doesn't work.
I know, and Teddy, I know you missed it last night because you don't watch hockey, but Vegas scored a goal, the game-winning goal, late in the third period. It went to replay review, and I tell you, man, Twitterverse and the Prezverse was shocked at the outcome of the replay. The guy clearly kicked the puck in. So, yeah, there's another example of replay stinking. And, man, I watched, you go to Monday Night Football. I watched that Lamar Jackson fumble, return, touchdown, lateral 800 times, and I couldn't get to where the refs got. I mean, it looked so clearly backwards as a lateral pass. So, I mean, yeah, look, I get it. But I don't know, man, like, it's tough. how many games in the NFL this year have you just been blown away by either why a pass interference call was made or why one wasn't made? I mean, Dallas against Tampa Bay at the beginning of the season, a missed pass interference call cost Dallas what I consider the game, and on and on and on. I would like to see them improve or figure it out. I don't want to get away with it. I think the refs, the umpires, I think these guys just stink. So from my perspective, the more AI, the better. Let's see what Steve Merril has to say on this topic. Steve, welcome to WagerTalk Today, brother.
More Allen Iverson, the better.
What? Okay,
Yeah.
you cut your hair this time, right?
Teddy got the joke. Yes,
okay,
it was cut. Actually, I cut right before I guest hosted for you. I didn't do the poll. I answered the poll myself and I cut it. So I was quicker and lighter, and Teddy couldn't catch me.
Well, there you go. And you're going to be hosting again Tuesday, October 26th to the 2nd of November. I'm going back down to the World Series of Poker. I'm playing the seniors event in the Colossus. I need to donate more money. I consider it charity. Steve, what are your thoughts on this instant replay take from Teddy? You want to get away with it?
Well, here's my thing on instant replay. Like I don't like when it slows the game down. I think the officials are part of the game. But with that said, I think you got to get game-changing decisions right. So I'm kind of, like anything in life, it's a balance. I think it needs to be limited, but used on, like you said in the hockey game last night, a game-deciding goal. I think that's important. If a run scored type play in baseball, touchdowns in the NFL, those need to be reviewed. I also like the way the NFL does it, where you lose a timeout if you challenge.
Yeah.
I think the coaches obviously should be able to challenge an important play, but you can't have them stopping the game 20 times a half. So I think it's a balancing act. I think having a timeout taken away, challenge, limited plays that can be reviewed. However, with that said, guys, that NFC Championship game, what was it, 2-3 years ago now, Saints-Rams, that wasn't really a reviewable play. It was a terrible call, and it very well maybe decided the Super Bowl champ, because I think the Saints probably would have won the whole thing that year.
Well, I mean, the concept was incontrovertible video evidence, where you have the evidence to overturn the call or you don't. But all of these calls coming down to, well, maybe, maybe not, we see it on the field. When the refs make the call in the NFL, they kind of look at each other. No one's making the call because they know it's going to go to replay. It ends up making the referees weaker and more indecisive, as opposed to making the system stronger. So conceptually, obviously, you want to get it right. I'm with you. But the replay review isn't getting it right. That's what's making you crazy. It's like, if the replay review can't make it right, then why do we have these extended delays every game? So that's my rant.
Fair enough, Teddy. Steve, if in hockey, if you get a review, if you're a coach and you call a review and you lose, you get a man in the box. And that's a 26% chance of being scored on. So you can take your timeouts in the NFL and stick them up your toches, because that ain't much of a punishment at all. You lose a timeout. How about you lose a down? How about that?
That's not a terrible idea.
Anyway.
That's not a terrible idea, Prez. You lose a down. I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah.
Baseball, you get an extra out. I mean, that'd be pretty stiff, right? I mean, so you're on the right track. And Teddy, you bring up a good point real quick when we close on this, is that you're right. 80, 90% of the time, it's like the call stands, which means they couldn't overturn it, but they also weren't sure. And that is a problem. But, then again, all things equal, you should defer to the original call on the field, because 20, 30 years ago, that's the only call that mattered. So it's never a perfect system. I think we have to have a system that doesn't slow the game down. I like also when the video cuts off after 30 seconds. That's also a solution. As you know, Teddy, you're right. If you can't figure it out in 20 or 30 seconds, you're probably not figuring it out. So the call should stand. So different ways to look at it.
He's Steve Merril joining us. You can find him at WagerTalk.com, one of the best handicappers on the planet, an incredible analyst. Your breakdowns are awesome, so let's get to it. Texas A&M -8.5 versus Missouri. And Steve, man, what Texas A&M team is showing up this week? Is it the team that put up a 10 spot against Arkansas? Maybe the team that put up 22 and lost to Mississippi State? or the team that slayed the giant last week. 41-38 victory against Alabama. I feel like all of Texas slept well last Saturday night. I got to believe this is a bad spot to bet the Aggies, but I look to hear your thoughts.
Well, one of the first things I do every week, is I circle situational games I want to dig into. Obviously, I run my power ratings and all the numbers. That kind of takes care of itself. The little elves that live in my computer do all that work for me. But I like to look at situational things as well. And this was obviously this and Alabama this week they play. Games that jumped out as, hey, these could be possible flat spots. So I dig into this game. Obviously, your initial feel, like you said, Prez, is let's look to play against A&M. But
yeah,
the more I dig into this Missouri defense, as Teddy knows, it's just hard to make a case that they're going to stop A&M, and that very well could be the breakout game last year. Let's keep in mind, A&M was probably the last team that missed the Final Four last year. They were probably the number 5 team on the outside looking in. They were a really good football team. Got off to a 3-0 start this year, but like you said, it wasn't very pretty. 10-7 win against Colorado. They beat New Mexico and Kent State, 2 bad teams. Lost to Arkansas in a low-scoring game. They were down 17-0. Make an argument that the Mississippi State game wasn't only a letdown after their first loss, a loss they knew really hurt their chances, but it was also sandwiched in between the loss and Alabama look-ahead. So that was a really bad scheduling spot in hindsight. I'm not going to read too much into that. But to put up 41 on Alabama is impressive. And who would have thought of all their first 6 games this year, their best offensive scoring performance other than Kent State would have been against Alabama's defense. So I see no realm in which Missouri is going to slow them down. And the reason being Missouri gives up almost 7 yards per play, 38 points a game, 6 yards per carry on the ground, 288 rushing yards. They don't stop the pass either. So Texas A&M is going to get theirs. They could possibly be flat, which I, by the way, think affects your defense more when you don't have that intensity, the game plan focus during the week. So let's look at the over. I sent this over last night. It was 60. It's now 59.5 in a lot of spots. I don't quite agree with the move down there. I think the over makes a lot of sense.
So here's the question. Missouri's a dead nuts over team. All right, we've seen it from day one. Basilak can chuck the football around. The defense really can't stop anyone. A&M has not been an over team, not by any stretch of the imagination. The defense has been really good, and the offense has been very dicey until last week, which is really the first time I've seen Calzada play a good game this year for the Aggies. Now he's got to do it on the road. Do you think that, you talked about the over in this one, and to me, Missouri's a dead nuts over team, but Texas A&M's the other end of the equation. Texas A&M's kind of a dead nuts under team. Do you think the offensive production we saw out of this team last week carries over into Columbia?
Well, I think it'll carry over by default. I do think that could be the buy sign for A&M's offense, but more importantly, I don't think it matters when you're facing Missouri's defense. It's just a horrendous defense. But then you look at Missouri's, so we start thinking, hey, do team totals make sense here? But I think the game total is still the best way to play it because Missouri puts up 38 on their own this season, 6.5 yards per play, 467 yards. So Missouri can move the ball. They have a little bit of backdoor cover potential. They don't throw the ball great. They're more of a run-based offense, so I don't want to say they have a ton of backdoor cover potential. But if A&M comes a little flat, that keeps this game close. I think the teams can trade points. It's a modest price. Let's keep in mind, as you know, Teddy, 2 games ago, they gave up 62. Missouri gave up 62 alone to Tennessee. That alone went over this total. That's how bad this defense is. And they've given up 35 or more basically in 4 of their last 5 games. So it's going to be hard for A&M not to get to that 40 range.
Great take. Steve Merril joining us. Steve, what do you got to promote before we jump into the Army-Wisconsin game?
Yeah, I got a great promo here. Basically, it's a 2-for-1 football special. Normally, it's $249 for a 30-day college and pro football. It's $149 for NFL or college. I'm going to give you both for $149. It's a $100 discount. More importantly, it's buy one, get one free, basically. 30 days of both college and pro football for the price of one with Combo 30. And that's Steve Merril only, WagerTalk.com. Let's go Combo 30, 30. Combo 30 gets you 30 days football for just $149. That's basically a 2-for-1 special. Combo 30, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com.
Awesome stuff. Okay, let's go. Army at Wisconsin, -14 for the home Wisconsin team. A total of 39, which is just an amazing correlation between the two. They are literally suggesting Army can't put 2 touchdowns up. And this is an Army team, Steve, 4-1 on the season. Last week, they only put up 16, but before that, 23, 52, and 38. I grant you it's not the same competition. They're stepping up against Wisconsin. I got to believe Wisconsin's an angry team. Really curious what your take is. For me, it's like favorite in the over or dog in the under. What do you like?
Yeah, obviously, if you like the double-digit 2-touchdown dog, or actually, I should say, if you like the under, you probably like the dog as well because they are somewhat correlated when you get this low of a total. And I remember back in the day, 10, 15 years ago, some of the less sharp offshores would allow you to parlay the big dogs and the under and the big favorites in the over. That didn't last too long. We took advantage of that for about a few weeks, and that party left. But we've had a heavy move on both the side and total in this one, actually. I saw some of the U.S. books around the country open as low as 11.5. I even saw 43.5 on that total, Prez. So it has come down quite a bit. The move up to 14 is a very key number, but this line was just priced too low. And yes, if you look at the overall numbers, as you mentioned, you could say, hey, Army's been just as good. Obviously, they've played a much weaker schedule, of course, than a Big Ten opponent, but it's all about matchups. And one thing I love about college football and just college basketball also versus the pro sports is that NFL and NBA, everyone's equally good. It's really kind of who wants to play on a given Sunday or a given night in the NBA. But in college, you get those flat spots like we just talked about maybe with A&M. You get the mismatches like we talked about with that Missouri defense. And you also just get matchups in general. And Army option a team. Another thing I do at the beginning of the week is I circle games in which we have unique offenses like options. And I look at the matchups. We all know what's going to happen in this game. Army's going to try to run the ball every play. They run 65 times a game this season. They throw on average 7. They average 3 completions a game on the season, a whopping 10.5 yards per pass, but only 7 pass attempts a game. So we know they're going to run the ball every single play. They're a triple option team. They've been for decades. Let's look at Wisconsin's run defense. Gives up 41 yards per game, 1.7 yards per carry. Now, I know that hasn't been against triple option teams, but 1.7 yards per carry against teams that average 4 yards per carry. This is as good, if not the best rush defense in the country. Why is Wisconsin only 2-3 straight up? Well, they played some tough teams, first of all. Penn State, Notre Dame, and Michigan, 3 of your first 4 games. In those games, they had an 11-2 turnover disadvantage. 11-2. In fact, they have not a turnover edge in any of their 5 games this season. They were flat against Eastern Michigan, still won 34-7. They had a 2-0 deficit again last week against Illinois on the road and still won 24-0. This is a Wisconsin team that just can't catch a break. You remember last year they had 2 or 3 shutdowns due to COVID. Couldn't get the minimum gains in, basically. But they're a talented squad. We're getting them at an extreme discount. 11.5 was a steal. 14 still has value. And it's just a great matchup. And we're getting an underrated team against an Army team that just lost outright at Ball State 28-16 as a 10.5-point road favorite. Now they go to Wisconsin. They do have the bye week, and Wisconsin doesn't have the bye to prepare for the option. But I think this is a huge class difference. Great rush defense, and I think we're getting an undervalued Wisconsin team in the right spot here.
My question to you, Steve, is whether Wisconsin's paying any attention to Army or not. They're coming off Illinois. They have another Big Ten game next week. And in between, we just have this little matchup against Army, a team that we can physically manhandle. They don't play option teams very often. They haven't played a service academy team since 1979. And you know what happens. If you're not fully focused on stopping the option grinds out first downs and covers point spreads. Do you worry about that situation for the Badgers? Obviously, all the money pouring in on Wisconsin early in the week for this contest. But my question is, do you expect the Badgers to have the level of focus necessary in order to win this game by more than 2 touchdowns?
Yes, and as you know, there's always a concern. I can make a case in every game for or against, particular side, and that obviously is the biggest concern here, is that on the surface it does look like a flat spot. But then again, the fact that Wisconsin's just 2-3 straight up, they can't afford to overlook this game. And they have Purdue on deck before Iowa. If this was Iowa next week, I'd be even more concerned. But the fact they're at Purdue, I think they realize they can get away here and it's just going to be a domination on the line of scrimmage. And Army's not going to be able to do anything once their run gets shut down. The other concern I do have, though, is that on paper, Army has a great rush defense. They're getting up just 54 yards a game, 2.5 yards a carry. Their pass defense has been very weak, as is often the case, because they just don't have the athletes in the secondary. Wisconsin is a run-based team. So that's another reason this total has dropped from 43.5 down to 39, is because both teams like to run. That slows the clock, that keeps the clock moving, no big plays, and they both stopped the run. But I think the sneaky thing that's being overlooked here is that Wisconsin struggled to throw the ball this year. I think that passing game breaks out against this Army secondary, and that's going to enable them to win by more than 2 touchdowns. And that's another reason there's not a lot of value with under 39 in this game.
Yeah, Steve, great take. And the concept of, this Wisconsin team being undervalued in this spot. I mean, you look down this list, and this Wisconsin team came in with such high hopes. They were -5.5 against Penn State, -6 against Notre Dame, -2 against Michigan. And as you mentioned, 11-2 against them in turnovers. Otherwise, this line could have been way, way higher. I'm with you. I think Wisconsin's a buy team. Outstanding work. You've promoted. What is that promo code again?
Yeah, Combo 30, COMBO 30, like Teddy's favorite snack, combos. Combo 30 gets you a 2-for-1 special every college and pro football for the next month. Yeah, Marco loves combos too. No SO, Combo 30. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com.
Teddy likes carrots, dude. I mean, the guy's like 122 pounds soaking wet combos. Steve Merril, everyone. Awesome stuff. Teddy, give me a sec before we go to a commercial break. I just want to shout out one of our best listeners, and I mean a prime grade A client, Robert Braley. Dude's got season tickets to the Leaf games, 9th row platinum seats, includes the restaurant. He gave him to Carmen and I for tonight's game. So, Robert, thank you, my brother. Teddy, I sat down at the poker table last week. I had my hat on, my sunglasses on, and a mask on. Basically, I could have been from Syria for all anybody would have known. Kathy recognized me from the show because of my voice. So shout out to Kathy. It was a privilege playing with you, and I thought you played great and had a crazy ending hand, Teddy. Have you ever been around when a guy slow rolls? Oh my God. It was 3-way all in. She had kings over aces. No, she had top pair, ace, king, ace, ace, and king, king. Another guy had a flush, and the third guy waited until both of them turned their cards over and turned over the nut boat. So Kathy got out, and people started screaming at this freaking idiot who slow rolled. Anyway, we got to take a break. So much more. Teddy's Big Game Breakdown, Adam Trigger, Arthur DiCesare, the Prez address. Stay with us, everyone.
Wow, but in October of sports with the NHL now underway and the NBA tipping off next Tuesday, we want to help you celebrate the opening week, both on the ice and the hardwood. Every NHL daily package is only $9 through Monday, October 18th. And yes, that includes 5% NHL plays, regularly priced at $35. For you NBA fans, we'll be offering the same incredible deal next week when basketball returns. From opening night through Monday, October 25th, get every NBA package for only $9, including all 5% top plays. Plus, don't forget that WagerTalk TV will again be airing both Puck Time and the NBA Tip-Off Show every Monday through Friday.
It is time for today's Big Game Breakdown. Let's go across the pond to London and take a look at the early start NFL game on Sunday. Right now, looking at the WagerTalk Live odds screen, I'm seeing the Miami Dolphins 3.5-point favorites in London over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Total sitting 47/47.5. Let's start with this. With any game, my handicap begins, does the favorite deserve to be favored? And my answer here is pretty clearly no. We may see Tua back this week. He's expected to make his return. There is no guarantee that is going to happen. He's still dealing with fractured ribs. And Tua may be back, but don't know if he's going to have Devontae Parker. He's been missing out. Will Fuller's hurt. Lynn Bowden's hurt. It's not like Miami's got a bunch of great receivers for Tua to throw to right now. Their receiving core is depleted. All right, well, the offensive line, they can just run the football against Jacksonville, right? No. Miami's offensive line has been a sieve. All right, it's been as bad as any OL in the NFL so far this year. I don't see an immediate turnaround coming. Last week, they completely abandoned the running game. 9 rush attempts, 42 pass dropbacks. That tells you what they think about their offensive line right now. Oh, the Dolphins defense, that could shut down Jacksonville. No, they just got torched, and it's a defense that showed all kinds of signs of quitting last week. Again, this is a team that came into the season with high expectations. Nothing's gone right. They had a good year last year. This year, everything's gone south. Now they're flying 3,000 miles across the ocean and laying more than a field goal. The Jags have lost 20 in a row. All right. They've lost 13 of those 20 by double-digit margins. All right. They're certainly not a team that I'm going to ask to do a whole lot against anybody good. But the Jags play in London every year. They're used to this trip. And if there's a game and a team that Jacksonville can beat, Miami might be it. So I'm not a big fan of betting on teams on 20-game losing streaks in this point spread range. But if I'm playing on Sunday, plus 3.5 or pass for this better. And that's one you probably want to grab sooner rather than later. The money starting to trickle in on Jacksonville. I wouldn't be surprised if it was more than a trickle by Sunday. Look at the Jags, plus 3.5. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you.
Yeah, Teddy, great take, and I am so with you on this. I mean, literally before the show, I was going through this exact game, and it's like Miami has scored an average of 16 points, Jacksonville 19 points. As far as yards go, Jacksonville has outgained Miami. Yeah, I know you don't like yards. We're all entitled to our own thoughts. And defensively, Miami, a total freaking mess. 30-plus points a game they've allowed. I am so with you on this. It's Jacksonville or nothing, and I also like the under in that game. Adam Trigger joining us, everyone. Adam, great to have you with us, man. How are you doing in football so far?
Football's going great. I believe I'm up in both college and the NFL. Definitely up more in the NFL right now, but I'm definitely a net positive. I think I'm 61%, and I'm second in profit at WagerTalk over the past 30 days, a lot of which is football. Nice. So, yeah, it's been a good run, good start to the football season.
Guys, if you like the show, please take 2 seconds and hit that like button. Greatly appreciated. And also make sure to subscribe for the channel. We're on our way to 100,000 subscribers. Let's go. Adam, Browns Cardinals, brother. Man, this is going to be a fun football game to watch. We just saw the Cardinals go under last week, and Cleveland went over for both of them. Yeah, I mean, that Cleveland game was absolutely insane. -3 for the home team, 49.5 is the total. It has been bet down, which actually surprises me, as I like the over in this game. Where are you going?
All right, so there's a little caveat here. I really like the Browns, but I can't bet on them until I know the status of their offensive line, because they could have up to 3 offensive linemen out, and if that's the case, I'm going to have to pass. But if the Browns can get healthy by Sunday, and we should know more as the week goes on when the injuries are announced and whatnot, I would definitely look at a bet on the Browns here. So assuming they're healthy, they're going to be able to run the ball on a Cardinals defense that has got a lot of. They still are living off of that week 1 shutdown of Derrick Henry. Since then, they really haven't stopped the run well. And if Cleveland can pass block, they're going to be able to run at will. They have one of the best rushing attacks you'll find in the league. The offensive line is also key because it keeps Baker Mayfield upright and offsets some of that Cardinals pass rush. We saw Cleveland last week. I mean, what an incredible game. They could have easily won that game. And their only other loss was that week 1 loss to the Chiefs, where it was a similar situation. They had the lead at points in the game and really kind of came right down to the end. And I think we're looking at the Chiefs and Chargers as both pretty respectable teams in the AFC right now. Tough spot for the Cardinals. They get another big win. They're 5-0. Now they're coming to the East Coast. It's a big home game for the Browns, and the Browns just lost a heartbreaker to the Chargers last week. I love the spot for the Browns. If the Browns are healthy, they will absolutely be a bet for me on Sunday.
So Cleveland last week gained 7.8 yards per play, gained 230 on the ground at 6.6 yards per carry, and became the first team in NFL history to lose a regular season or playoff game when scoring 40 plus with 500 yards of offense and no turnover. They can't play better than they played last week. All right. They have cluster injuries in the secondary. Greg Newsome doesn't look like he's going to play. Denzel Ward doesn't look like he's going to play. Greedy Williams got hurt last week. They have cluster injuries in the offensive line. Arizona's an undefeated team, and they're laying a field goal. Clearly, I'm looking the other way. Talk me out of it.
Well, no, Teddy, I'm glad you brought up the defensive injuries too, because that's something I want to look at as well. The interesting thing for the Browns here is they've got a Thursday night game coming up the following week. It's also a home game. It's against the Broncos. So really the injury report is going to it's Browns or nothing for me, but the injury report's going to determine whether I'm on the Browns or whether it's nothing. Obviously, like you said, there's going to be probably at least one guy out in both both the secondary or the offensive line. But I think the Browns can, survive one injury on the offensive line. They just can't survive three. I think they can survive one or two in the secondary. They just can't survive three. And last week, had they not been dropping like flies, I think they probably win that game. They just couldn't. They had no answer for Justin Herbert, who has a great receiving core and that's a great passing offense. Now, Kyler Murray, if the Browns are unable to get pressure on him, he of course has good receivers as well. But for me, if the Browns are healthy and they can at least get a couple of these guys back, I think they're favored for a reason. I think it's a tough spot for Arizona. Last week, that was a pretty even game with the 49ers. Arizona, I guess they did what good teams do and made a couple of plays to win games late. But then the 49ers were 1 for 5 on fourth downs. And I think if they find a way to convert one or two of those, we could have been looking at a Cardinals loss. So it's coming. The Cardinals aren't going to go undefeated. This is a tough spot. And if the Browns are healthy enough, I think they find a way to win on Sunday.
Yeah, Adam, great take. And also, guys, keep in mind Chandler Jones might be out. Arizona, 5th worst run D in football, playing the number 1 run team as well. So take that into account. Anything quickly to promote before we jump into the Boise State Air Force game?
I don't have a coupon. I do think I have a coupon code that's still active. Trigger 7 would get you a week of my service at a discounted rate. And I would say, come check it out for a week. Like I said, I think I'm number 2 in profit past 30 days. And that's only because Andy Lang's just blown everyone else out of the water. It would be impossible to even catch. But, I've hit during that span 61.3% winners. And it's been a really good start to football season. So I would say, come try me out for a week. I do think Trigger 7 is still active, and that gets you a week of my service at a discounted rate.
At Boise State, playing Air Force, -5. I think 51 is the total. We're running out of time. I'll shut up. The mic is yours.
Yeah, I'll go quick here. So last week, everyone loved BYU. I came on this show. I said I really liked Boise State, thought it was a crazy number, and they get the outright win. However, I do agree with a lot of the counterpoints Teddy made about Boise being a transition type team. And I really think it was BYU that just beat themselves. I mean, BYU outgained Boise by 100 yards. They turned it over 4 times. And I think that was the sort of market correction game that was always coming for BYU. And it happened to come against Boise State. I'm going to go the other way this week. I really like Air Force getting the points here. One area Boise struggles in is stopping the run. And of course, Air Force is the number 1 rushing team in the country, 341 yards per game. Now, a lot of that has to do with the fact that they run the option. But as you guys know, the option is kind of can be all or nothing. Either a team can stop it or a team can't. I don't think Boise State is going to be able to stop the option. And, Air Force, they've been favored every game so far this season. They're 5-1, though, and they've smashed all 5 of the teams that they've beat. The one loss, they actually had an 11-point lead to Utah State and blew it late in that game. So I really like this Air Force team. I do still think that Boise is just, a team kind of trying to find their way under a new coach. This feels like too many points. You also get Boise coming off a huge win. I think Air Force can make that 5 hold up.
Awesome stuff. Adam Trigger, everybody. You can find him at WagerTalk.com. Adam, we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us on Wager Talk today. Teddy covers Art DiCesare coming up any second now. I pulled a Mike McCarthy, man. Art DiCesare, come on. Let me explain why I feel like Mike McCarthy today, Art, because my clock management of this show has been very bad. We'll go late, Art. We ain't kicking you off. We got time. How are you, man? What's going on over there?
Oh, Prez, don't beat yourself up too much, man. I'm doing good, gentlemen. It's always a pleasure to join you.
Yeah, well, we love
Prez
having
keeps
you.
bringing timeouts with him into the break.
Yeah.
You can't bring timeouts with you, Prez.
Okay, buddy. Well, I'll call one now. Okay, timeout. Guys, just really quick, as I called a timeout, every hockey play until the end of Monday, only $9. We're doing the same for NBA next week. Check that out at WagerTalk.com. Art DiCesare. Hockey season, baby. You cannot be taking a lot of bets on hockey right now. Not in the middle of all this delicious football.
Oh, I mean, Prez, listen, obviously we're in the throes of obviously, MLB playoffs and all the football, but this is our season, buddy. We love hockey, man. It's so much fun.
Yes.
Obviously, hey, the Knights were on last night. They're on the big screen. We get the sound late in the game once the Dodger-Giant game, ends. So, hey, Vegas is a hockey town, so people are into it here. Obviously, the betting is not as big as some of the other sports, but it starts to pick up, and I know how much you love it, and I love it as well. So I'm very excited to have the NHL back.
So, I mean, realistically, in terms of a handle, does the NHL even move the needle at all? Has it changed now that ESPN's covering NHL in a way that they weren't in years past? Or is NHL betting a clear second or third or fourth on the list behind? I mean, obviously, football is always going to be king. But compared to the baseball playoffs, compared to the NBA, compared to some of the periphery sports like soccer, where does hockey stand in the betting pantheon?
Yeah, obviously, Teddy, football is in a class by itself. Baseball playoffs gets a nice handle, especially when you have matchups like Giants and Dodgers. You can have a nice handle like that. If we get to a point where maybe we have Giants, Red Sox in the World Series or Dodgers and Red Sox in the World Series, 2 big teams, that will get a very nice handle. NBA is a bet on sport. There's no doubt about it. People love to bet the NBA. So, NHL is going to fall behind all of those. But, when we get night games and we get all the travelers in. I saw so many people yesterday from Seattle in their Kraken stuff. They were in the sports book saying, hey, we're here. I can go see my team. I'm going to bet the game. So you get a lot of that. So obviously the Knights were always going to get action on that, but NHL falls behind all the other sports.
We're talking, of course, with Arthur DiCesare from the Westgate SuperBook here in Las Vegas. You can follow him on Twitter at ArtDice21. You talked about the Giants and the Dodgers. Well, that's the only game left in this round, is Game 5. The Giants and Dodgers going back to San Francisco. What's the early action on that game, and what are you expecting to see between now and the first pitch? Obviously, a day off between Game 4 and Game 5.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously the baseball players have kind of been a snoozer a little bit early on. But this is a great spot for the Major League Baseball. You get the 2 best teams in baseball. They're going to have a winner take all. It's a rivalry. 2 best teams in baseball record wise. Yeah, it's been not a lot of movement yet. We basically opened it Giants minus 105. It's now Giants minus 110. So slight movement there. It's hard to say which way it will go. All signs point to the Giants probably having the advantage. But we know how the Dodger bettors are, and people love to bet the Dodgers, and they'll blindly bet the Dodgers. So I'm going to say we'll probably have some good 2-way action on the game, but, we shall see. Not a lot of, to report yet, but I will say I probably think Dodger money will start coming in later on.
Arthur DiCesare joining us, Westgate SuperBook Supervisor. An alliteration in your title. Yeah!
It's got a nice ring to it.
It does, brother. It does. So listen, let's get into some NFL. Right off the bat, Thursday night's game, Tampa Bay -7. There is a 6.5 in a couple of places. 52 is the total. I'd love to hear your thoughts on where the money is coming in on that game and maybe a few other games. We've seen a line move on the Rams game as well. What's jumping out at you?
Yeah, Prez, you speak on that Thursday night game, Bucks at Eagles. Brady's got the quote-unquote sore thumb, but, Brady's been on an injury report for the last 20 years. So, I don't know how you take anything that goes on with Brady. Seriously, I don't know how you do it. So, it's funny, though. Early on, we have seen some Eagle money. People figured short week, the quote-unquote Brady thumb injury, maybe he has a problem. Maybe the Eagles figured something out last week, got a win on the road. They're at home on the short week. They're getting points. So, you've seen some Eagle money come in, but eventually people will come in, they'll back Brady. Who knows if the line shifts. Obviously, if the line gets under 7, you will see some buy-in, but, too early to tell on that yet. Yeah, a couple of the games, one of the games you touched on, the Ram games kind of jumped around, 11, now 9.5. I don't know. I mean, I'm a Giants fan. I don't know how you take anything the Giants are doing seriously. They have a million injuries. Barkley's out, Galladay's out. Who knows about Daniel Jones? He couldn't even walk off the field last week. So, if Mike Glennon's the quarterback there, how does Aaron Donald and that defense not swallow him up? Even if it is Daniel Jones, probably the same type of deal. Yeah, the Dallas game. Dallas game is a crazy one. That was the look-ahead line at Dallas -1. Then it was 2.5. Now it's 4. That's Dallas at New England. Ton of Dallas money. It's nothing but Dallas money so far.
Yeah.
So who knows? Does that line even move further? There's been no support for New England. They played a stinker last week at Houston, won the game. But Dallas has been incredible, and I believe they are still the only team that's undefeated ATS. So, people love to back the Cowboys anyway, and the Cowboys are having a good season. So that's why you've seen Dallas money come in.
Sure, the hot point spread teams likely to attract a fair bit of action. The Dallas Cowboys at or near the top of that list for the NHL. So, Art, we've talked NHL. We've talked MLB. We've talked NFL. There's a fourth major betting sport going on right now. Next week, there'll be a fifth when it comes to NBA. But that, of course, being college football. A couple of ESPN games, one on Thursday, one on Friday. Navy, Memphis, Thursday night. Clemson, Syracuse, Friday night. Talk about the line moves for those games and anything else that you've seen early in the week in the college football betting markets. Who do the wise guys like? Who does the public like when it comes to college football?
Sure, Thursday, Navy at Memphis. Seen basically nothing but Memphis money. Game was 8, 8.5. It's now 10.5. It's always tough going against one of those option teams. Navy's going to, try to impose their will running that option, but people have not been scared to bet Memphis, so that line has moved. That's a tough one. Maybe it's gotten to a point where there will be buyback on Navy because you got to 10, 10.5. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on that. Obviously, the Thursday games are a little bit more of a lower scale betting handle just because obviously we're going to have Giants and Dodgers. We're going to have the Thursday night NFL game, which is going to overshadow that. The Friday night college football games are different because those tend to be more of a standalone because, there's not another football game. You have a ton of college football games. So, yeah, Clemson, Syracuse, interesting because Clemson has been bad. They've obviously been one of the best teams in the country over the last 4, 5, 6 years. And, Syracuse has been, feisty. Syracuse had a chance to beat Wake Forest last week, a ranked team. They covered the game. They didn't win the game. But, you're going to see people buy in on Syracuse because of the 14 points and because of the way Clemson has looked. But, Clemson still has that cachet and still has that name. So could be some two-way action on that, but some Syracuse money early on that. And one college game to touch on is because it's a crazy total. Ole Miss at Tennessee. It was 80, now 82.5. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just 82.5. I mean, it was 80. That was crazy. And people are not scared. The way Ole Miss plays, the way Tennessee plays, they're thinking that game's in the high 40s. So you've seen a 2.5 point move on that total, a total sitting at 82 in the SEC. Unbelievable.
Yeah, well, hey, dude, San Diego, the Chargers in Cleveland covered that number, and that's in the NFL with Real D. Art, look, we're running out of time, but Schmidt Happens just asked an incredible question. I'm going to ask it to you. How much money does it take to move a line, or is it whose money? Like, is it the amount of money? Is it the person? Is it a combination of both? Help us with that question.
That's a great question, Schmidt. Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. I think obviously what sport it is, how much money's on one side. There's definitely a lot of combinations. There are obviously people whose opinions we respect and could move a line, but it's definitely going to be a combination. So I don't think there is one straight on answer for that.
Art DiCesare, everyone. Supervisor Westgate SuperBook. Art, thanks for joining us, dude, every Wednesday. Teddy, what do you want to say? I was going to ask you what you needed to promote.
It's really important to note, Art's not punting that question. That's the answer is sometimes it's the person who bets. Sometimes it's the amount that gets bet. It varies. It's not like there's one.
It does.
He's not hiding something. I think people would be concerned about that. So I just want to make it clear. The answer is all of the above. There's different pieces to the equation. And for one game, it might move at a line. Another game, it might not. With the exact same circumstances. So there's no universal rule. Thank you so much, Art. Really appreciate it. Anything you want to promote before we leave today?
Yeah, as always, gentlemen, it's always a pleasure to be here. Coming on Wednesdays is great. I love it. And I can promote our Thursdays, our reduced juice. You come into the Westgate, coming around 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're going to have minus 105 on sides. No totals, but college football, NFL, you come in, you bet sides, you lay the 105, not the 110. So, it's a nice promotion that we do. So, come in. Listen, like I say, you can always ask for me. I'll always help you. Always get you a reduced juice sheet if you need it and, walk you through the steps on how to do something, how to sign up for the app. Whatever you need, you come in, you talk to me, and I'll be more than happy to help anyone who comes in.
Awesome stuff. Go ahead, Teddy. Go ahead.
That was awesome stuff. Appreciate your time and energy, Arthur DiCesare, each and every Wednesday here on WagerTalk Today. And now, Prez, I believe it's time for you to close out the show with your Presidential.
Oh, yeah! Hockey time, everybody. It is the daily presidential address, a segment found on WagerTalk Today. If you're watching this on Twitter, what a show we had. Steve Merril, Adam Trigger, Art DiCesare. Really good stuff. Check us out at WagerTalk TV, our YouTube channel. And now it's time. Hockey is back. I'm going to be giving mostly hockey picks out in these segments. And I got 4 for you guys. All of them, plus money. Let's start off with what I consider the best bet I have seen in years. I mean, literally. Connor McDavid plus 150 most points. The only way that does not happen is if he gets injured. Now, he could get injured. I grant you that. But I will tell you this. If he misses 10 games, he still will win that bet for you. So if he misses half the season, he's not going to win that bet. But I think we got a 10-game window. If he misses, that we still win that bet. I think Connor McDavid puts up 150-plus points this year. And I know you guys don't want to tie your money up for a long period of time. Why? You put it in real estate. You put it in mutual funds. This is a plus 150 over 9 months. Ain't going to get much better than that. Vancouver plus 2,000 to win the division. It's 2,000 for a reason. Vegas is in that division. So is Edmonton. This Vancouver team is really good. Way better than they were last year. There is a ton of value on that bet. And as for tonight's game, New York Rangers plus 105. I'm very high on the Rangers this year. And the Chicago Blackhawks plus 180. I'm the $2 Tuesday guy. My play is still up at wagertalk.com for only $2. It goes tonight. That's the show. Teddy, it's Shawarma Wednesday. Take us home.
I feel like it's shawarma every day for you right now, Prez. No shawarma to close out the show.
I
however.
love
Gonna wrap it for the
shawarmas.
Wednesday edition. No shawarma. No shawarma for the
Shawarmas.
Wednesday edition. No shawarma. No shawarma.
I love shawarmas. Do you like shawarmas?
I like it when you shut up and let me close the show. Thank you so
Shawarma,
much for
shawarma,
taking time out of
shawarma.
your busy day to hang out with Prez and I. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same channel. 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Between now and then, light night in sports. Enjoy your NHL. We'll do it again tomorrow. Cheers.
Why pay regular price when you can save money on every purchase with WagerBucks at both WagerTalk and Sports Memo? WagerBucks are now eligible for use on not just daily, 3-day, and 7-day passes, but all long-term and seasonal packages up to 1 full year. There are tons of options available for every budget and size of bettor, from as low as $90 gets $100, all the way up to $3,500 gets you $5,000. Save every day on every pick you buy with WagerBucks.